inker. It's like the inker. You're a tracer. I don't want to talk to the tracer. I want to talk to the artist.
My job's the word bubbles.
You want to do
Yeah, I think we're nice and warmed up now.
We got the funny going.
Yeah. All right, welcome back, heroes, to another episode of Old Men. Oh, I blew it. No comics for old men.
Try again.
Try again. No comics for old men. That's it. We got it. We'll get it down this time. Again, we're back with the Independents. I'm back with Ken. We're going to talk first about America Karate. How can you not talk about that book? We're at issue 6, and I might read them again because when you need a laugh, you got to pick up America Karate. It's more offensiveness, more horribleness, and more hysteria.
More ridiculous violence.
Gratuitous sex. There's all that kind of terrible stuff in it, and that's why we love it. It actually is marked for mature readers on top. You wouldn't know it if you look at the book because it's very cartoony. One of my favorite parts is that his boss tells him that he must grow a Bronson revenge mustache to revenge the guy that got killed in last issue. It's hysterical.
Yeah, it really is funny. When we reviewed it before, we even said it's kind of like Brock Sampson from the Venture Brothers has his own R-rated comic series because it's along the same lines. He drives a hot car, he beats up people savagely, kicks their faces off. But it's just, it really is funny, but definitely not for children. No. I mean, when they're setting out to get revenge on somebody, they basically, their words for revenge are to karate out of somebody. So definitely not something you'd want your kids reading. I have a 9-year-old son, and he's not. I hope there's no kids in the store right now. Okay, well now we're moving into the R-rated section of the show.
We noticed that we weren't talking about the creators. This is written by 2 people, Corey Kalman. If I'm killing your name, send me a message, then I'll know you're at least listening. And Brockton McKinney. They write some funny stuff. I'm sure they are smoking a lot of weed in the basement of somebody's house.
Moms.
And it's illustrated by Daniel Aruda Massa. I'm not going to mention the letterer because letterers really aren't doing anything. You really don't have a job.
I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. But yeah, it's a great book if you want to laugh and you're not afraid of over-the-top violence and really bad language.
So then now a more serious book is Redlands. We reviewed issue 1. We're back for issue 2. What'd you think? Do you think it was as good as 1?
I like it. It seems like they jumped forward a little bit from the first issue to the second one without really kind of letting you know what's going on. It's
right. Almost like a fast forward.
Yeah. I mean, it's still interesting. It's a good read. It just seems like that there's a coven of witches that have taken over a small town, and not for the bad, actually. It seems like they're trying to do some good, and now there's a serial killer on the loose that's coming to the town and killing people, and seems like he's hunting for the witches.
Right, he wants to expose the witches. That's what it seems like he's trying to do. And this book is written by, it looks like, Jordie Bellaire, and the artist is Vanessa R. Del Rey. I'm not familiar with either one of them, but I think they're doing a pretty good book. I mean, I'll come back for 3. It's a little letdown for me from 1, but you know that's pretty much par for the course, right? 1 is always the big.
Yeah, usually it's the 1's the big deal, and then 2 kind of, starts hopefully developing the story more.
Right, I would have liked a little more character development in the number 2 instead of the huge jump forward, but it's still a well-written book. It still is interesting. So
yeah, definitely interesting. The jump forward though really threw me off a bit.
A bit, yeah.
Because I'm thinking now I don't remember what I read in one, and I was like, I thought I did, and it just...
Maybe we didn't.
Maybe not. It's possible. We are getting up there, and the mind's the first thing to go, or is that the second?
Second, I can't remember.
I don't remember what the first one is. So.
Moving right on to Retcon. We read from Image Retcon, written by Matt Nixon, Toby. I think it's Toby Cypress. I think maybe the artist, and Matt. Let's see if he's the.
Hopefully he's not the letterer, because you don't want to mention the letterer.
I don't even want to forget.
We're going to get
Matt.
tons of hate mail from letterers around the world.
Yeah, so I can't find it, but those there it is. Written by Matt Nixon, art by Toby Cypress. Yeah, and Matt, forget him. He's a letterer. Liked this book a lot. It was good. It is a number one. Has a lot of wild stuff going on. Reminds me a little bit of Weird War. When I was younger, in the end of Weird War, they had the Creature Commandos.
Yeah.
And it kind of has that feel. And of course, they just use the regular, Dracula and stuff. And they've gone a little bit stranger than that in this book. But it's basically a paranormal team that do war stuff. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought the art fit the weirdness of the story. Definitely, like you said, it's kind of like a military organization that deals with the supernatural, and the actual members of the team are supernatural powered characters. They have a guy that's a werebear that instead of a werewolf, he turns into a giant grizzly bear. There's another guy that's possessed by a demon. And another guy who's like a skinwalker who can put his consciousness in different bodies.
Yeah.
And it's so far it's pretty interesting. It's a good number one. I'd like to see where they're going with it and what they're doing, but I would definitely come back for number two.
Yeah, we'll try number two. Let's see if they can keep it up. Divided States of Hysteria 4. Yeah, this is a book we were waiting for. Chalkin doesn't disappoint. This is more total, right in your face, non-PC, borderline offensive. I think it makes people think a lot about how they treat other people. By reading it, you realize that if you're offended, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
if you're not offended, if you're cheering, that's a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely continues to push buttons on a lot of hot topic issues, but it kind of is, it is like an examination of the country and the world, especially a country that would elect somebody like Donald Trump for president. It was like, here it is, and it's showing you all the ugliness.
Right.
You know, it's definitely not a kid's book, and not if you're easily offended, should not read it. I mean, don't boycott it and try to get Image to stop publishing it.
Because that'll only make their ratings go up, and they'll get more.
Yeah, because of all the hysteria that went over issue 1,
right,
they sold out of the issue.
Yeah.
So you would think people who protest that type of stuff might learn by now. The more noise you make, the more you're going to sell books.
Right.
So I don't know. Keep making noise. Keep shaking the business, because
he's
a great writer.
Is,
I mean, and he's a button pusher, and it's social commentary. And if you don't like what you're reading,
he's not telling you how to
watch the
think.
news.
He's not telling you how to think. He's putting a story in here of fictional characters that are doing horrible things and talking about horrible things, and it's how you react. It's your reaction to it. You could go along with the characters and love it and be a horrible person, or understand that this is what we have to rally against and not have part of our lives. So, yeah, I think he's doing a good job.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what I get from the book. Where more, it's like social commentary. He's just saying, like, look, this is what it is. I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's just, it is what it is.
Right.
Here it is. And I mean, if you're offended, well, you should be. It's the stuff that goes on is offensive. I mean, and it's offensive for a reason. And it's not just throwing it in there just to piss people off and sell more comics. He's making a statement.
Yeah.
And if you don't agree with the statement, you don't have to read the book. But I would suggest that people read it. It's really well written. And again, it's social commentary on the state of the world today.
So our last book this week is Shipwreck. It's off Aftershock, because I really feel we got to tip our hats to them almost every week, because they're crushing it. And I say that every week because they are. I hadn't read 1, 2, or 3. I jumped right in at 4, it's not a jumping on point. It is real well written. I was really interested. I want to find 1 through 3 to find out what's going on. Basically, he can port people, large objects across worlds. His name is Shipwright. The book is called Shipwreck. I wonder if he possibly shipwrecked a group of people somewhere and left them there. You don't know. At least I don't know because I only read number 4. But I love the art. It's got the cell shading, like animation, and the writing is just enough to make the story move along. It's not overly wordy. No, it's a good book. Like I said, I'm gonna try to find 1 through 3, and it's a Warren Ellis, and it's not like an Avatar Warren Ellis. Sorry, Warren. You sold some really garbage to Avatar back in the day. I know, you got a paycheck. You fed the kids, but yeah, and Phil Hester is doing the art, so.
Yeah, that's definitely a plus. I mean, it's a good book. Again, Aftershock has just been putting out good book after good book. Yeah. I can honestly say I've not read one bad book from them. I haven't read everything they've been putting out, but Unholy Grail, this book, Shipwreck, Dark Arc, which I'm really looking forward to, that's coming out sometime this month.
Yep.
Just everything they've been doing, Animosity, I could go on and on. Pretty much every book in their
Pestilence.
catalog
Yeah.
is really worth picking up. This one, it's a good book. Again, like Emmett, I only hopped in on number 4. I'm a fan of Warren Ellis. I had no idea he was doing something with Aftershock.
Yep.
Really like what he was doing with the reboot of Wildstorm. So if you like his style of writing, then I would say definitely pick it up. I mean, for someone who just hopped in at number 4, I'm a little lost, but I kind of want to find out what's going on because there's enough in there to really still grab you and you want to know what's going on.
Right.
So it's definitely something to pick up, and maybe we'll do a future review when we have more of a clue what's going on in the book.
Now you want to do a throwback to that one series, the Annihilation series.
Oh yeah.
Well, we mostly do independents, but we want to do it. We always like to do a little bit of a reach back, and Ken was talking about a series that I remember. I didn't get to read all the crossovers, but he did, and he calls it the last best Marvel crossover. Quite possibly was.
It is from, I'm not sure when exactly it came out. It's a few years old, probably about I'd say like 5 or 6, easy. If not, it is that series is where they rebooted the Guardians of the Galaxy to where they are now, to the characters you know now, Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, Rocket, and Groot. That's where they actually came together, that whole storyline. And I hate crossovers. I hate them, because most of the time they start off nice and they just peter out, and the ending is not worth picking up all the different books to follow the story. This is one of the few events. It was called Annihilation, that basically concentrated on all of the more spacefaring Marvel characters, Guardians of the Galaxy, Nova, even the Inhumans they threw in there. But the Kree, the Skrull, they deal with all of that, and it's really one of the few crossovers where it's really worth reading every book. It's written by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning. If you're familiar with any of Dan Abnett's work, he's done stuff with Marvel, DC, tons of comics work. He's also done a lot of Warhammer 40,000 novels, which that's another comic thing we should probably talk about at a later date, because they also do really great comics. But if you're looking for something relatively inexpensive to pick up, like a crossover, for some reason the last crossover that Marvel did, Secret Empire, didn't do it for you, which it didn't do for many people, then go out and search it out, because it really is worthwhile, and the payoff at the end is definitely worth sticking around for the entire series and reading it. So go check it out.
Keep reading comics.
Keep reading.